The bold and shocking move made by General Motors in some years back by going all in on electric vehicles didn't sit well with their dealers, who had a gut feeling that this move wouldn't pan out as expected. While GM poured billions into new technologies, the reality is that customers aren't exactly clamoring for electric cars, and dealers have been aware of this from the get-go. Things have escalated to such a point that GM CEO is baffled by dealers' reluctance to sell EVs, with some even considering quitting altogether. If you're wondering why, here are the reasons. GM's massive investment requirements. One of the primary reasons why GM dealers are disgruntled about selling EVs is the astronomical financial investment required to become eligible to sell these new vehicles. We're not talking about a few $1,000s here. It's more like hundreds of thousands. For instance, Buick dealers were asked to fork out a staggering $400,000 for a new program that included charging infrastructure, staff training, education, and the like. This demand came at a time when the EV market was already slowing down. So it's no surprise that dealers pushed back hard. No one wants to sell EVs these days, especially Buick dealers, considering Buick is one of GM's least popular brands. Such massive investments make little sense. The situation becomes even more bizarre when you realize that Buick doesn't even have any EVs in its lineup at the moment. Yet the brand aspires to become an all-electric marquee by the end of the decade. GM was adamant about pushing its new strategy, so the company gave dealers an ultimatum: either invest or opt for a buyout program. Nearly 1,000 dealers chose the Buick buyout option. At the start of 2023, there were nearly 2,000 Buick dealers nationwide, but today that number has dwindled to around 1,000, if not lower. As for GM's other brands, the company hasn't imposed such an ultimatum yet. And after this experience, we can assume that the high management will approach this issue more cautiously, especially when it comes to the future of their most important brands like Chevy and Cadillac. Salesmen are particularly unhappy. No dealer is happy about selling electric cars at the moment. Demand is low, sales are sluggish, and there's not much room for markups. But one specific group is suffering more than anyone else: the salesmen. These individuals have the daunting task of convincing their regular customers to switch to electric cars. In other words, they need to introduce potential buyers to new technology and persuade them that EVs are actually better than gas-powered cars, and it's worth spending significantly more money on a new car than usual. With the current market situation, that's anything but easy. According to the latest studies, salesmen need to put in way more effort to sell electric cars than gas-powered ones. When people buy a good old gas-powered car, the process is usually completed after one visit: a short test drive and quick paperwork. Salesmen can do their job within an hour. With electric cars, it takes way more time and effort. According to Buzz Smith, a former GM salesman who now works as an EV dealer trainer, electric cars take 4 times longer to sell because buyers usually make 4 visits before deciding to purchase an EV. That's 4 times more time compared to a gas car, which automatically means that salesmen need to invest significantly more time to earn the same commission. It's pretty much like accepting a 75% pay cut. So if you're still wondering why dealers would rather quit than sell EVs, this is a perfect explanation. Dealers want hybrids for a long time. Mary Barra and the rest of GM's high management didn't seem interested in hybrids. They were all convinced that the market needed a quick transition to full electrification without gradual steps. GM pushed EVs very hard and has already invested billions. But with the current set of circumstances, this investment won't pay off anytime soon. Meanwhile, companies like Toyota are crushing it with hybrids. Gas-electric vehicles are currently growing at a faster pace than EVs, and dealers aren't blind to this fact. They want their car market to produce something like that and ensure steady sales. With all that in mind, dealers have already informed the company that it needs to bring back hybrid technology. The EV push isn't turning out as expected, and it's time to take a more realistic stance. It's time to embrace hybrids and work on this much cheaper technology. Eventually, GM admitted that going full throttle with EVs was a mistake. Not only were the sales numbers significantly lower than expected, but the company still hasn't cracked the EV economy. It still can't make them profitable. So the management decided to slow down a bit. The production of the most important models, such as the all-electric Chevy Silverado and GMC Sierra, has been moved to late 2025, while the production of the new electric drive unit won't start before the end of this year. Meanwhile, GM is figuring out how to catch up with the competition in hybrid technology. The company had a couple of gas-electric models back in the day, but that seems like a distant past. Today, GM needs something new. Mild hybrids, self-charging hybrids, or plug-in hybrids. We still don't know anything, and we're not even sure if the management knows where to start because the competition is fiercer than ever. No service money. Everyone loves easy money, and when it comes to dealers, they've been earning a lot of it. Their business isn't just about selling cars. Of course, markups are usually high and the profit margin is good, but in many cases, most of the money comes from service and repair. Fluid changes, filter changes, new brake pads, that's all easy money for dealers and something we've all become accustomed to with internal combustion cars. The only problem is that with electric cars, things are a bit different. With EVs, regular maintenance is different. More precisely, it almost doesn't exist. While internal combustion engines need all kinds of fluids for cooling and lubrication, EVs feature electric motors and batteries which don't require such service. Moreover, EVs also feature regenerative braking systems, which should result in less brake pad wear. All these things used to be easy money for dealers, and now all that is gone. Repair headaches. In theory, electric vehicles require less maintenance compared to internal combustion cars. At the same time, most car makers require massive investments from dealers that, besides infrastructural upgrades, also include staff training. From dealers' perspectives, big investments for low profit margins are a combo that doesn't make much sense. On the other hand, some will say that EVs are far from perfect and still require constant repairs. After all, the latest surveys show that they're significantly less reliable than gas-powered counterparts. In theory, that means there's still plenty of potential for easy earnings. The only problem is that these repairs are no longer easy money. They cause big headaches for dealers and their mechanics because we are talking about new technology, a technology that brings new kinds of problems that most professionals still don't know how to deal with. Just take the new Chevy Blazer EV as an example. The new all-electric crossover caused so many problems, most of them software-related. It's needless to say that dealers didn't exactly know how to deal with any of these issues. Moreover, even the company didn't know how to solve these problems. So cases of broken EVs sitting at dealer lots waiting for feedback directly from the factory became a pretty common thing. Long story short, in many cases, dealers still don't know what to do with broken EVs, and at the same time, they're the ones who need to deal with unhappy customers. Slow demand. If anyone knows the pulse of the car market, it's dealers. They're perfectly aware that quick electrification isn't going to happen. That's why they don't want to play this game imposed by the government and car makers. Of course, GM's dealers are no exception, and with the current dynamics on the market, they're not exactly in the mood to sell new super expensive EVs based on the Ultium battery technology. After years of impressive growth and low supply, things went upside down. Early adopters are now gone, and we're now in a much tougher phase. It's time for the middle class to accept EVs, and so far, things haven't been going particularly great. The market growth is the lowest in years, and at the same time, supply stands better than ever because the days of supply chain issues are behind us. With such an imbalance between supply and demand, oversupply comes as a logical outcome. And once again, dealers suffer the most because EVs are piling up at their lots. The average market day supply is way over 100, and GM models are no exception. New models based on Ultium battery technology are still far from making adequate sales numbers, with the latest decision of Biden's administration to slow down. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.